Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Sometimes a photograph only becomes important after we learn what happened next. At first, these images may look ordinary: a trip, a flight, a smile, or someone standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. But moments later, everything changed. In this video, we look at rare photos taken shortly before disasters, accidents, disappearances, and historic events that shocked the world. With each image, one question remains: what if they knew what was about to happen? On August 22, 2015, during an air show held in the United Kingdom, the Hawker Hunter jet appears performing a loop maneuver shortly before a serious failure during the display. The aircraft unexpectedly lost stability and ended up striking the A27 road, a busy route near the event site. The episode happened in front of spectators and quickly drew the attention of the British press because of the scale of the occurrence. The consequences were severe for people on the ground, while the pilot managed to survive. The case had major national impact and led United Kingdom authorities to review and tighten safety rules for air displays, flight paths, and public events of this kind. During a trip to Tanzania in 2019, Steven Weber planned a different kind of marriage proposal while staying at a hotel with an underwater window. He dove down to the room's glass, carrying a handwritten note and a ring, intending to surprise his girlfriend with the proposal. The gesture was made from outside the structure using the visibility of the underwater setting. After showing the note, he was unable to return to the surface as planned. The episode became remembered in the context of records made moments before a major event. Through the streets of Dallas, Texas, the presidential automobile moves in a parade on November 22, 1963, carrying President John F. Kennedy. In the convertible were Jacqueline Kennedy, Texas Governor John Connally, and his wife, Nellie. Minutes later, while passing through the Elm Street area, an episode occurred that affected the president and Connally as well. Kennedy was taken to Parkland Hospital, where the outcome was confirmed, marking one of the most decisive events in United States history. At the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, elevator cameras recorded Elisa Lam shortly before the 2013 case. The 21-year-old college student was staying at the location when she was no longer seen. Weeks later, she was found in a technical area of the building. Authorities identified an accidental occurrence as the cause, although the case still raises questions and historical interest. During a vacation in the city of Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, Irina Glazunova, a 24-year-old Russian influencer born in Moscow, appears moments before an occurrence that marked her trip. She was with a friend, and while focusing on a cell phone recording, she began walking without fully noticing her surroundings. At that moment, Irina entered a dangerous area near the entrance of a subway station, where the lack of attention made the situation even more delicate. Emergency help was called immediately, but the case had an irreversible outcome and became part of records associated with moments before a major event. On a trail near the city of Boquete, Panama, Chris Kramers, age 21, and Lisanne Froon, age 22, appear smiling during a hike on April 1, 2014. Shortly afterward, both faced difficulties in the area and tried to contact local and Dutch authorities without success. About 10 weeks later, a backpack belonging to Lisanne was found with belongings still inside. The case remains without a definitive explanation to this day. During their honeymoon in Australia, Tina and Gabe Watson took part in a dive at the Great Barrier Reef. Gabe said he had enough experience, but he could not handle the local currents. Facing the difficulty, he returned to the surface alone, while Tina remained behind. The episode became one of the best-known cases tied to records made moments before a major event in recreational diving. In the isolated region of the Ural Mountains in Russia, a group of experienced skiers appears gathered shortly before the 1959 disappearance known as the Dyatlov Pass case. Soviet investigations recorded that the group suddenly abandoned the campsite, citing the presence of an unknown force as a possible cause of what happened. The exact circumstances were never clarified, and the episode remains one of the most debated historical mysteries of the 20th century. Moments before a widely recorded occurrence, Andrea Mazzetto appears posing beside his partner in a rocky area of Rozzo in northern Italy. The record was made while the couple was visiting Alter Noto, a natural formation known for its uneven ground and high rock walls, when Andrea was 30 years old and accompanied by Sarah Brigante. Seconds later, while trying to reach a phone that had fallen into a hard-to-access area, he lost his balance and became involved in an extremely serious episode that gained international attention. The case became remembered in the context of records made moments before decisive events, while also sparking public debate about safety in natural areas and the exposure of people involved after events of this kind. On April 16, 1947, the SS Grand Camp appears anchored at a Texas City dock while volunteer teams tried to control an emergency on board. The vessel was carrying a large amount of material used in industry and agriculture, which increased concern among local authorities. The situation drew workers and residents from the port area, who watched everything from a distance. Shortly after that moment, a powerful detonation struck the port and nearby areas of the city. The episode entered history as one of the most serious industrial cases in the United States, with major impact on the region. In April 1999, a group of Columbine High School seniors appears gathered in the state of Colorado, in a typical end-of-school year record. Among the students are Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, visible in the upper left corner, making hand gestures toward the camera. A few days later, on April 20, 1999, the two were involved in an attack at the school that had fatal consequences for students and staff members. The episode became remembered as one of the most significant events in the recent history of educational institutions in the United States. Shortly after leaving Washington Airport, Air Florida Flight 90, operated by a Boeing 737-222, suffered a serious accident in January 1982. Seconds after takeoff bound for Florida, the aircraft lost altitude and fell into the Potomac River amid poor weather conditions. Before hitting the water, the plane collided with vehicles traveling on the bridge connecting Washington to Arlington, causing damage to the structure. The episode had consequences and caused major public shock, becoming one of the most remembered air accidents in United States history. After climbing over a fence about 8 feet high, Australian tourist Catherine Warburton, age 29, approached the area of Binky, a polar bear kept in captivity. The episode occurred on July 29, 1994, during a visit to a zoo in the state of Alaska, in the United States. The approach resulted in injuries to the visitor's foot. The next day, the case was featured in the Anchorage Daily News, with the bear appearing to hold the red sneaker left at the scene. On April 20, 2008, on the coast of Brazil, Father Adelir Antonio de Carli is seen before beginning an attempt to set a record for staying in the air. The plan was to fly for about 20 hours using approximately 600 helium balloons, with the goal of drawing attention to religious and social causes. After takeoff, contact with the priest was lost, starting a major search operation by land, sea, and air. In June of the same year, remains were found on the Atlantic Ocean coast, officially closing the case. The story became part of archives associated with moments before a major event. In New York, on December 8, 1980, John Lennon appears signing a record for Mark David Chapman a few hours before a decisive episode. That same night, while returning with Yoko Ono, Lennon encountered Chapman again. The encounter had an irreversible outcome for the artist and permanently marked the history of music. Known for seeking records in high places, 17-year-old Russian teenager Xenia Ignatieva appears trying to capture another image in a high-risk area. Soon after that moment, she approached dangerous electrical structures, and the episode had an irreversible outcome. The case became cited in educational campaigns as a warning about the dangers of seeking photographs in unsafe places. The story also strengthened debates about social media exposure and youth safety in extreme urban settings. At the Boston Marathon finish line, Ethiopian runner Elisa appears celebrating his victory on April 15, 2013, before thousands of athletes and spectators gathered downtown. The race was following its traditional course in a festive atmosphere, with a large crowd watching the end of the event and participants still passing through the finish line area. About 2 hours after the official end of the event, a serious occurrence was recorded near that point, affecting an area where runners, family members, and spectators were still present. The episode had major impact in the United States, turned that day into a historic milestone, and led to significant changes in safety protocols used at large sporting events. On the night of September 7, 1996, in Las Vegas, Tupac Shakur left the MGM Grand after watching Mike Tyson's boxing match. Moments earlier, a confrontation in the lobby had raised tensions between rival groups. Hours later, an attack occurred that had a fatal outcome for the artist, turning the episode into a milestone in the history of rap in the United States. Shortly before the race held in 1994, Ayrton Senna appears in a quiet moment behind the scenes at the circuit. Recognized as one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history, he was racing his third season with the Williams team. During the race, an accident occurred on the track and had fatal consequences for the driver. The episode deeply marked world motorsport and led to significant changes in the category's safety rules. In the backseat of a Mercedes-Benz, Diana, Princess of Wales, appears shortly before the occurrence recorded in the early hours of August 31, 1997, in Paris. The vehicle was traveling with driver Henry Paul and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones. The episode near the Pont de l'Alma had an irreversible outcome for Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed, becoming one of the most significant events of the late 20th century. At the moment of the Space Shuttle Challenger launch in January 1986, the crew appears ready to begin the mission only moments before a serious occurrence. 73 seconds after liftoff, a failure led to the loss of the spacecraft during a broadcast watched by millions of people. The episode deeply marked the United States space program and led to a broad technical and institutional review. As a result, safety procedures for later missions went through significant changes. Aboard the Boeing 747 of Japan Airlines Flight 123, passengers appear shortly before a serious occurrence recorded in August 1985. The aircraft was traveling from Tokyo to Osaka when a problem with the stabilizer compromised control during the flight. With 524 people on board, the case became one of the most significant episodes in civil aviation and became linked to important debates about air safety. Above an elevated roadway in Taiwan, TransAsia Flight 235 appears moments before reaching the Keelung River on February 4, 2015. The aircraft had taken off from Taipei when it faced technical failures that compromised control in the first minutes. Surveillance cameras recorded the plane sharply tilted before impact with the water and part of a nearby bridge. The accident led to the loss of the aircraft and resulted in changes to aviation safety procedures in the country. Leaving from Jupiter Inlet, Florida, Austin Stephanos and Perry Cohen were last seen aboard a small boat heading toward the ocean, despite a storm warning. After leaving, the two teenagers did not return. A wide search operation covered more than 25,100 square miles of the Atlantic, involving the Coast Guard and volunteers. The boat was later found, but the young men remain officially missing. On the steps of Metrojet Flight 9268, a father appears holding his sleeping son shortly before departure on October 31, 2015. The moment was shared by Olga Shena as the aircraft prepared to travel from Egypt to Russia, with 224 passengers and crew members on board. Shortly after takeoff, an incident occurred in midair, resulting in the total loss of the flight. The episode entered aviation history as a case associated with records made moments before a major event. On White Island, located in New Zealand, a group of tourists appears gathered on July 9, 2019, moments before a sudden change in the local environment. The island was known for guided visits near an active volcano, attracting people from different countries. Shortly after that moment, an eruption occurred in the crater area, affecting visitors taking part in the tour. The episode had consequences and left several people injured and missing, becoming recorded as one of the country's most remembered natural events that year. Without knowing that it would be a decisive day, 17-year-old Andrei Retrovsky appears recorded moments before a major event. About 10 seconds after that moment, he became involved in a serious occurrence at a building. The case became part of records associated with moments immediately before a major event. After leaving Queenstown on April 11, 1912, the RMS Titanic was crossing the Atlantic on its maiden voyage with about 2,224 passengers and crew members on board. 3 days later, the ship encountered an iceberg during the nighttime crossing, beginning one of the best-known maritime episodes in history. The case marked global navigation, caused major international shock, and led to important changes in safety rules for ocean travel. On the Appalachian Trail in the Cove Mountain area of Pennsylvania, Molly LaRue and Jeff Hood were hiking in 1990 when they encountered Paul David Cruz, who was then a fugitive. The encounter had a tragic outcome that ended the two hikers' journey. The case received major attention and became remembered in historical records tied to trail safety. Prince William County, Virginia, police officer Ashley Gwendon appears recorded on her first day of service in 2016 at age 28. During that shift, she responded to a call related to an occurrence at a home in the city of Woodbridge. At the scene, a critical situation affected Ashley and other officers, making the case widely remembered in the police community. The person responsible was later sentenced to a permanent sentence without the possibility of parole. Beside two officers dressed in white, Hank Carr appears recorded shortly before an episode that would have serious consequences. After that moment, a chain of events had a tragic outcome for the two officers. The case became remembered as one of the most impactful episodes involving risks for law enforcement professionals, influencing debates about safety and operating procedures. On December 3, 2012, Ki Suk Han, a 58-year-old South Korean immigrant, was involved in a serious episode in the New York subway after an argument with another man. He ended up in the track area and could not return to the platform in time, in a situation that generated major public attention. The case raised debates about safety in urban transportation and about records made during emergency moments. On the banks of a river, a group of 24 engineering students appears, gathered during an academic field trip on June 8, 2014. While they made a brief stop for photos, the gates of a nearby hydroelectric plant were suddenly opened. The water release reached the area and had serious consequences for the group, turning the technical visit into one of the most remembered episodes related to communication and safety in hydroelectric operation areas. After a long period of restrictions in her home country, Elisa, a 31-year-old woman from Kazakhstan, traveled to Turkey in search of leisure and freedom. The record was made shortly before an occurrence in a coastal area when she lost her balance in an elevated area more than 98 feet high. The episode became remembered as one of the records associated with moments before a major event. Minutes before an accident in the Italian Alps, mountaineer Filippo Bari sent a selfie to his family on a Sunday, smiling in front of the landscape. The message simply said, "Look where I am." Shortly afterward, an avalanche struck the area, making the record one of the moments tied to instants before a major event. During a stop on the World Surfing Tour in Jeffreys Bay, South Africa, Australian surfer Mick Fanning experienced an unusual moment during the competition. While waiting for a wave, a great white shark approached and became caught in the board's safety cord. The episode happened in front of the crowd and during the live broadcast, leading to the event being stopped and becoming known as one of the most memorable records in professional surfing. At the edge of a concrete structure surrounded by dense vegetation, men carry out an activity without noticing the silent approach of a jaguar from behind. The animal moves quietly, using the surrounding environment, while other agents watch the situation from a distance. Shortly after that moment, a rapid advance occurs, showing the predator's instinctive behavior in its natural habitat. Under rough sea conditions, a container ship appears sharply tilted after repeated waves struck the hull in open water. The gradual loss of stability made the situation critical, requiring immediate maneuvers by the crew in an attempt to regain control of the vessel. Despite the efforts, balance was not restored. Shortly after that moment, the ship sank, with the entire container load being thrown into the ocean. The episode became cited in maritime records as a clear example of the risks faced by navigation in extreme conditions. Through the window of an airplane in flight, a passenger noticed signs of trouble in one of the engines shortly before a serious emergency. Moments later, a major aviation occurrence took place with an irreversible outcome for people on board. The record became known for showing the moments immediately before a decisive event in aviation history. In 1912, in Paris, French inventor Franz Reichelt appears moments before testing a parachute suit he created himself from the Eiffel Tower. The demonstration took place before authorities and a crowd gathered at the site. During the jump, the equipment did not work as expected, leading to a serious outcome in front of the public. The episode became one of the best-known historical records associated with moments before a decisive event. Shortly before beginning an international trip, the 18 members of the 1961 United States figure skating team appear gathered beside coaches and family members. The group was heading to Brussels, Belgium, where it would take part in the World Figure Skating Championships. During the trip, the aircraft carrying them faced a serious occurrence near the Belgian capital, deeply marking the history of the sport in the country. In July 2003, Cadet Stephen Hilder from the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst posed before a parachute jump in Hibblestone. During the descent, both pieces of equipment failed, and the episode had a serious outcome. Investigation suggested the possibility of outside interference, but the case was never concluded and remains without concrete proof. On a trail at Cheaha State Park in Alabama, Jolie Callan appears moments before an episode that occurred on August 30th, 2015. She was walking with her former boyfriend, Lauren Bunner, in an area near high rock formations. Shortly afterward, Lauren was held responsible for pushing her from the elevated area in a case that received major attention in the United States. The record became remembered as one of the moments captured shortly before a major event. In May 2023 in California, a father of two was photographed moments before a major event. He had stopped his car to help a family of ducks cross a busy road, making sure the animals were safe. While carrying out the selfless act, Casey was struck by a vehicle, and the case gained wide attention because of the kindness shown in that moment. Shortly before a decisive mission in 2018, Saman Gunan, a former member of the Thai Navy, appears recorded before entering the Tam Luang Cave complex. He had helped transport air tanks meant to support the rescue of 12 boys and their soccer coach, who remained trapped inside the caves. During the return through the submerged route, Saman faced a critical emergency tied to the extreme conditions of the operation. His role became recognized as a key part of the rescue that drew international attention. Without noticing their surroundings, a group of hunters poses beside a black bear taken down in a wildlife area. Outside their field of view, another bear, possibly connected to the animal beside them, was right behind the group. The record became known for showing a moment of unnoticed risk in a natural environment. At Sing Sing Prison in the state of New York, a prisoner is seen shortly before the carrying out of the maximum sentence. The method used at the time, introduced in 1887 and adopted in different states across the United States, became recorded in the history of the penal system over several decades. Interested in studying and collecting indigenous art, Michael Rockefeller traveled to New Guinea in the early 1960s during an expedition tied to Asmat art and contact with local cultures. The son of one of the best-known families in the United States, he sought to record traditional pieces little known in the West. This record is considered one of the last made before his permanent absence, and the circumstances of the case remain without a complete explanation to this day. Recorded by a security camera, the moment shows a woman making a bank withdrawal under strong pressure shortly before a serious outcome. The episode was tied to a crime involving her, 2 sons, and the partner of one of them. After the forced withdrawal, the situation had a tragic outcome, becoming one of the most striking records associated with moments before a decisive event. Around 1910, a baseball team made up of prisoners became known as the Team of the Condemned. The games were played while their sentences were delayed as long as they kept winning, making the case a historical curiosity from the early 20th century. Indian actor Krishnan Nair, known as Jayan, appears filming an action scene shortly before a difficult stunt. Famous for performing his own risky scenes, he faced an emergency during filming and had an irreversible outcome, becoming a legend in Indian action cinema. Shortly before the episode at the Bataclan Theatre in Paris, Gilles Leclerc and Marianne Labanane appear together at the location on the night of November 13, 2015. The couple was going to watch the band The Eagles of Death Metal when the theater became the target of a serious occurrence. The episode had major international impact. Marianne managed to survive, while Gilles became associated with one of the most memorable stories of that night. Beside a railroad track in the state of Utah in the United States, 3 teenagers appear smiling as a train approaches in the background. Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and Savannah Webster were on a trail near the railway when the photo was taken in October 2011. Shortly afterward, an accident occurred on that same stretch, making the scene known among images captured moments before a major event. In 1980, in Skamania County, Washington, volcanologist David Alexander Johnston was monitoring Mount St. Helens. Shortly before the eruption, he radioed the warning, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it." Moments later, the volcano erupted, and the episode became part of historical records tied to moments immediately before a major natural event. Record made shortly before the occurrence involving Uruguayan Flight 571 in the Andes on October 13, 1972. The aircraft was traveling from Montevideo to Santiago with a rugby team when it faced adverse conditions in the mountain range. Of the 45 people on board, 27 survived the first moment of the episode. In late December 2004, a major ocean event struck Southeast Asia during Boxing Day, causing large-scale impacts. After the episode, Deborah Garlick's parents found this record in her camera, linking it to the moments immediately before the event. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.